Hi guys, Amy here, also known as Hidden Treasure Picker here on YouTube. In case you're new to my channel, I'm an online reseller. I sell mainly on eBay, and I also sell a little bit on Poshmark and Mercari as well. Today, we're going to go over part 2 of what some of my favorite shoe brands, or the best shoe brands, to look for when out sourcing for reselling is. Now, I already had a part 1 video that you guys should go check out if you didn't see it already. But this is going to be part 2. We're going to go over some more great shoe brands to resell. So stick around for that. Alright guys, the first shoe brand I want to talk about is Vionic. Vionic is a good shoe brand. I think they mainly sell women's shoes. They might sell men's as well, I'm not sure, but I typically find women's. They have shoes, they have sandals, all different kinds of things. But Vionic is another really good brand to look out for, so make sure you're on the lookout for that if you're out thrifting for shoes to resell. Next is Dansko. Dansko is a very good brand to look out for. A lot of what they're known for is these clogs that are especially made for professional positions like nursing. Supposedly they're supposed to be really good for being on your feet for a long period of time. Supposedly they're very comfortable, and a lot of people will buy these pre-owned. They do make both women's and men's. The men's seem to go for more, but they're harder to find generally also. I definitely find a lot more women's Danskos than men's, but they typically sell consistently and for a decent amount of money. I mean, it just depends on the specific model. Some of them can go for more than others. Alright, next we have Rothy's. Now, personally, I've only found Rothy's once. This is a pretty elusive brand, at least to me. I have a hard time finding Rothy's. They are a very expensive brand. I don't know if they make men's shoes. I mainly know about women's. But yeah, Rothy's, if you can find them, they are going to resell for a really good amount of money. Like I said, they're a higher end brand. They're more expensive, and they're very expensive brand new. So always be on the lookout for Rothy's. Apparently these also can be faked, so you may want to Google to find out how to determine whether they're real or fake. Just for your own peace of mind, you want to make sure that you're only buying authentic items, because you cannot resell fake items. It can get you in a lot of trouble. So make sure that you have a way to authenticate them. Alright, next are FootJoy. FootJoy typically makes golf shoes. There are some that have spikes, and then they also have spikeless golf shoes. So either one does very well. A lot of golfers really love FootJoy. It's a very desirable golfing brand, and golf is an expensive sport. So golfers spend a lot of money on all kinds of things, from their shoes, to their clothes, to their hats, to their clubs, to their bags, to the balls. Like, golfers spend a lot of money on this sport. It is an expensive sport. I'm pretty sure it also costs a lot to be a member of like certain country clubs where you can golf. So it overall is an expensive sport. So golfers don't tend to spare any expense. But when they can cut corners by buying a used shoe instead of having to go and buy it brand new, I'm sure that they will, because they are spending a lot of money on all the other things. So FootJoy is a good brand to be on the lookout for shoes, as well as many other items too, because they also make clothing, hats, and things like that. Okay, next is Ultra. Ultra is a type of running shoe. I have only found Ultra once, but it does do very well. From everything that I have heard from other resellers, things like that, and even my own research. So look it up on eBay. You can see that they sell for pretty decent money, and they sell pretty consistently. So that's another good brand to be on the lookout for. Like I said, unfortunately, I have only ever found it once. It's another one of those very elusive brands to me that I have a hard time finding, and I wish that I could find it more often. My eyes are definitely always on the lookout for Ultra. All right, next is Sorel. Sorel makes a lot of like winter boots. That's what they're most well known for. So, you know, that's another one of those specific type of items that people will be looking for, especially like in the winter. Most of their boots are like really well insulated and things like that, so they're good for, you know, outdoor activities during the winter. And so probably typically closer to winter is when they're going to sell the best. But I've sold Sorel, I mean, even just recently, so they will sell at other times of the year. They do sell for pretty decent money, and they sell very consistently. All right, the next one is Noble. I'm pretty sure this is like a newer brand, and I've only found it a couple of times, but it sells for really good money, and typically doesn't sit around for too long, and it sells very consistently also. They tend to make like athletic shoes also, or a lot of times they're called trainers. So yeah, I think the two pairs that I found were both more like a high top style. So you want to always be on the lookout for Noble, because it does very well also. All right, next is Olakai. Olakai, I think, is mainly known for their sandals. It's another really good brand, and unfortunately I've only found that a few times as well. So a lot of these brands, you know, are brands that I haven't had as much luck finding consistently all the time near me. But these are ones that I am absolutely always on the lookout for, because I know if I can find them, that I will do very well with them. So keep a lookout for Olakai. Like I said, they especially, I think, are known for like their sandals. I've also found some shoes that were more like an athletic shoe or sneaker. So that, yeah, just like I said, always be on the lookout for that as well. The next one is Ufos. Ufos is another one I've only found a few times, but every time I've found it, it has sold pretty fast and for good money. I'm pretty sure I've sold them for right around $40 at least, maybe $50 on a couple of them. I'm trying to remember, but they have different types of shoes. They're known, I think, for mostly for their comfort level. They're supposed to be a very comfortable shoe, and they look kind of funny if you've ever seen them, and they do have a kind of funny look to them. So they're not a very, you know, stylish shoe for sure, but apparently people really like them for their comfort level. So like I said, this is another really good one to be on the lookout for, because it will sell for you probably pretty quickly if you price it correctly, and you'll make some really decent money off of it. All right, the next one is SAS, or San Antonio Shoe Company. This is one of those ones that I don't pick up every single time I find it. I find lots of SAS. I used to buy it a lot more often, but now I find that it doesn't do as well as it used to, and it seems to be a lot more model specific. So certain ones will do better than others. So I definitely don't pick up every pair of SAS that I find, but I do still pick them up. I still am on the lookout for them all the time. And then if I find them and they're in good shape, I will look them up and see if that specific model is selling pretty consistently, and if it's selling for decent enough money to be worth it for me to flip. So be on the lookout for those, because you never know. Again, SAS also is a very ugly shoe. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but they are super ugly. But yeah, people love them, again, I guess because of their comfort factor. They are supposed to be extremely comfortable. So there you go. All right, the next one is Picolinos. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but that's a very good brand as well. It's kind of newer to me also. Those actually sell for pretty decent money. And yeah, I don't even know what else to say about Picolinos. I think they do make both men's and women's, but I think I've always found women's. I don't know that I've found men's, but I'm pretty sure they probably do make men's. Maybe one pair that I found was like a pair of sandals that were men's. So they make sandals, they make shoes, and things like that, and it must be apparently a higher end brand because it does still resell very well on the pre-owned market. All right, the next one is Hey Dude. Again, this is kind of a newer brand. They don't sell for a ton, but they usually sell, I think I've sold them anywhere between like 20 and 30. So they do sell, you know, for okay, depending on what you're paying for them, obviously, in the first place. You don't want to pay up for these. They're typically not going to be worth paying up for because they're not going to sell for, you know, 50, 60, you know, a lot of what some of these other high-end brands are going to sell for. They're just a basic sneaker. Usually, I think, again, these are more known for their comfort. They're a very lightweight shoe. So again, this is another thing that I love to find at the bins because it's generally not going to cost me very much at all. I typically spend, you know, probably around, they're usually around £1 or less. So usually I'm spending anywhere between like $1.59 or less on these shoes. Probably usually less than that because I think they usually weigh less than £1. They are very, very lightweight. So when I can buy them for, you know, $1 or so, and then flip them for $20 or $30, I mean, that's a great profit. It's just, obviously, it's not a high selling price, but that's a great profit on how much I'm spending in the first place. So Hey Dude is another one to definitely be on the lookout for, and I'm always looking for them. The next one is Mephisto. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Typically, it seems to be more of a dress shoe. This is another higher end brand, and so they typically sell for a pretty decent amount on the pre-owned market as well. It's another one that I have not found a lot, but when I have, I've sold it for decent money. So definitely be on the lookout for Mephisto as well. All right, the next one is Fry. This is a very great brand to be on the lookout for, especially Fry boots. And I think that's mainly what they make, although I have sold some men's Fry like dress shoes before, like a long time ago. But mainly their boots, I think, is what they're most well known for and is what is most desirable with Fry. Especially their vintage boots. Their vintage boots I have sold for, I believe I've sold like 2 different pairs not even that long ago, and I'm trying to remember if it was like $125 or $150 that I sold each of them for. So Fry boots, and especially if you can find vintage Fry boots, like the really tall ones, the tall riding boots, those will sell for a lot of money. So definitely always be on the lookout for Fry. I, again, have not found them that many times, but when I do, I always definitely grab them because I know what a great brand it is, and I know that it's going to sell for a lot of money. And they typically do not take a long time to sell either. I have sold them very quickly when I have found them and sold them. All right, next is Bedstew. Bedstew is another really good brand that maybe a lot of people don't know about. These will usually typically sell for a really decent amount also. I've only found Bedstew probably like, again, a handful of times. I think that the first time I found Bedstew, it was a pair of boots. And then I found a pair of men's like dress shoes. And more recently, I found some women's sandals. They all sold for a really decent amount of money. The boots were so long ago that I don't remember. Honestly, I can't even remember off the top of my head with like the sandals and the shoes, but I feel like probably at least around, somewhere around the $50 mark, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, they all sold for a really good amount of money. So be on the lookout for Bed Stew. Like I said, I think a lot of people don't know about that one, but it does very, very, very well. All right, the next one is mostly well known for like their Western style boots or cowboy boots. This is, again, not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Lucchese. Lucchese is a very good high-end cowboy boot. These typically will also sell for you very quickly and for a lot of money. Usually probably somewhere between the $100 and $150 mark. I actually just sold a couple different pairs not that long ago, and they were right around that. I think one of them was 150. I think the other one might have been, I think they might both have sold for 150. So I mean, crazy, crazy amount of money, I feel like, for a pair of cowboy boots. It's a very good quality, and it's just a very good boot, so people will pay a lot for it, even pre-owned. So definitely, if you're ever looking at cowboy boots, look out for that name. Look out for Lucchese. They're going to sell for you, and they're going to sell for you for a good amount of money. All right, next is Ariat. Ariat is another one that is mainly probably known for their cowboy boots. But they also have other kinds of shoes. I have sold anything between like their cowboy boots and like some women's shoes. And they also have like hiking boots. They've got all kinds of things, but they're mainly known for like their Western boots and their Western wear in general, because they also have some clothing and things like that. So Ariat is a very good brand to also look out for. They're not going to sell quite as high as Lucchese most of the time, but you'll probably usually be able to sell Ariat boots, specifically, if we're just going to talk about the boots, probably between like 50, maybe a little bit more. It just depends. Again, probably very model specific on exactly how much you're going to get out of it. So you just have to do your research and find out how much that specific one is going to sell for. But they sell consistently, and they do sell for a decent amount of money. All right, next is Justin. Justin is another one that is known for their Western wear and their Western cowboy boots. So Justin is another good one when it comes to cowboy boots. Again, it's probably going to be very similar to Ariat in the amount that it's going to sell for. But yeah, that's another one to definitely always be on the lookout for. Look out for Justin. Alright guys, sorry about that. My GoPro died while I was in the middle of trying to film this video. So now we're back here, home at my office, and we're going to finish this up real quick for you guys. So let's get back into it. So the next one I wanted to talk to you guys about is Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson is obviously a motorcycle brand, but they also make a lot of items geared towards, you know, bikers. And one of those things is shoes, and especially boots. They sell a lot of like motorcycle riding boots, and a lot of people really like those. You know, I'm sure you guys have probably heard a lot about Harley before. People that really like Harleys, they're very, you know, loyal to that brand, and they will only ride a Harley. Well, a lot of them also like to buy a lot of their other riding gear, like the boots, or sometimes they have more like shoes, like clogs, especially for like women. Although they do have women's boots as well. So they have jackets, they have all kinds of stuff. Really anything that you can find that is Harley themed, especially that kind of stuff, like the shoes and boots, jackets, belts, the list goes on and on. There are some t-shirts and things. The t-shirts usually don't sell for a lot. Especially depending on what it is. There's vintage t-shirts that do really well, but a lot of the more modern ones that just come from like certain shops, unless it's like in a well-known location, it's a popular shop, they're typically not going to sell for a lot. They probably still will sell. They probably won't sell for a lot, and they'll probably take a really long time to sell. So you got to be careful with that. But as far as like the boots and things like that, those usually sell. They usually sell for a decent amount of money, and they usually go pretty quick. Alright, next I want to talk about Double H, which is another good boot brand. same thing that I've talked about with these other boots here. You know, Double H is another just really good quality brand of boot. They have Western boots, and then they also have like more like work boots and things like that. So Double H is another good boot brand to be on the lookout for, and those will sell for a good amount of money as well. Next is Tony Lama, which is another cowboy western style boot, is mainly what they're known for. Again, same kind of thing. Depending on what model of Tony Lama, they'll probably usually sell kind of like the Ariat and the Justin, right around like the $50 mark or so. Some a little bit more, maybe some a little bit less, if it's not as desirable of a style. But overall, they're going to do pretty decent. Just look them up, because again, you could get even more for them than that. Next is Dan Post, which is another cowboy western style boot. Again, that's mostly what they're known for. Same kind of concept, especially if you find vintage ones. I think that they do a little bit better. But Dan Post is just another good quality boot brand. Lots of people really like that western wear guys. Like, the western wear is popular, especially western boots, cowboy boots, cowgirl boots. They're very popular. It's just a popular style, and people will pay a lot for them because they're very expensive when you buy them brand new. Almost every single cowboy boot there is super expensive when you buy it brand new, unless you're buying some cheap knockoff kind of. But if you know what I mean, if you're buying one of those name brand cowboy boots, they're going to be expensive because they're really high quality. They're made very well, because, you know, a lot of people use them for style now, but what they're originally made for is actual cowboys who are working on the ranch. You know, these people were working hard. I mean, there are still ranchers and cowboys that work hard, and so they need a good quality boot to be able to do the things that they do. Also, there's lots of people that ride in like rodeos, and they need those kind of boots, so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, if you are looking at any of the higher brands, they're typically going to be very expensive to buy brand new, so a lot of people are looking for them used so that they can save themselves a little bit of money. Alright, next is Hunter. Now, Hunter is mostly known for boots as well, but not so much cowboy boots. They're more like rain boots and snow boots and things like that. Hunter can go for really good money as well. I'm pretty sure they make it in like women's, men's, and children. So, you know, it crosses all the demographics there. I think I haven't found a lot of Hunter boots, and I think the only ones that I have found have been women's, but they do pretty decently well. And I think, like, again, depending on the specific model, some of them can sell for even higher than others. So just be aware, be on the lookout for Hunter. Next is Tory Burch. Tory Burch is a very good brand. As far as I know, they only make women's shoes. I'm not sure if they make men's. I feel like they're at least more well known in the women's, if they do make any men's. So Tory Burch is another high-end brand, and that will do very well in the resale market as well. Yeah, just another good high-end brand. I've only found it a couple of times. Again, another one that's pretty elusive to me, and I am just not able to find it a lot around me. And the next one is the North Face. I'm sure you guys have heard of the North Face. It's a very popular outdoorsy brand. Most people think more of their, you know, jackets, their hoodies, their shirts, their whatever. You know, like, a lot of people think when they think of North Face, they think of that kind of stuff. But the North Face also makes shoes and boots. And they actually do really well also. So yeah, always be on the lookout for North Face when it comes to shoes, as well as when it comes to the other clothing and items that you might already know about. But yeah, they definitely also make boots and shoes, and those can do well also. Again, men's, women's, children's, pretty sure it crosses the whole demographic. So, and that is all the shoes that I wanted to talk to you guys about, that are shoes that I personally am always on the lookout for, because I know that they're good brands, and if I can find them, I'm 9 times out of 10 going to pick them up. Some of them, like I said, are more model specific, so I'm going to look them up and make sure they're worth picking up. However, I'm still always looking for those brands because, again, even if I find those ones that may be more model specific, I still am looking for them actively. So, yeah, hopefully that gives you guys some ideas of what kind of shoes to be on the lookout for. I also wanted to mention a few that are on my personal little bucket list, ones that I know that are really good, but that I personally have still never found. Just like a lot of the ones that I mentioned today are ones that I've only found a few times because they are pretty elusive to me. These are ones that I literally have never found, and I'm dying to find these brands. The first one is Teeks. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of Teeks. It's a very, more like a ballet style, almost like slip-on shoe for women. These things can sell for like hundreds of dollars, even pre-owned. So yeah, I would love to find some Teeks, but I have still never found them. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. But let's hope. The next one is Danner, which is another really good boot brand. I think they make more like work type boots and things like that. Not really. I don't know if they make a Western style boot. From what I understand, they're more of like a work style boot. I've just never come across Danner. It's another one that I've just never been able to find. And it's a really well-known boot brand that sells for a lot of money on eBay as well. The next one is Freebirds. Freebirds, I'm pretty sure that they make boots and shoes as well, not just boots. That's another one that I've never found, and that can sell also into the hundreds. And again, it's just something that I haven't been lucky enough to find. And the last one that I could think of was On Running. Now this is just an athletic running shoe. You think it'd be easy for me to find this. I find all kinds of running and athletic shoes all the time. But for whatever reason, I can never seem to find On Running shoes. People also refer to them as On Cloud. I think that's a specific model of the On Running brand. So maybe you've heard of On Cloud before. I feel like a lot of people talk about that instead because I think it's maybe that specific model that usually does the best. Not really sure because I have never found it. So maybe one day I will find these brands, and maybe one day I will start finding those other brands more often that have been so elusive to me. But again, hopefully this gave you guys some ideas of what kind of shoes to be on the lookout for. Like I said, I'm always, my eyes are always peeled for these kind of shoes. And I absolutely love selling shoes. So hopefully, like I said, this gave you guys some ideas. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It'll help the video, help more people be able to see it. If you didn't watch part 1 yet, make sure you watch that because I talk about a whole bunch more brands than I talked about in this video. So make sure you check out part 1 if you didn't already see it. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please click subscribe. That way you know when I post new videos. Leave me comments down below, guys. Let me know if you like this kind of video. I've never really done this kind of video before. Like I said, I usually do a lot of what sold videos, but I thought that this would be a fun one to do, just to let you guys know in general, other than what I'm just selling right now, you know, that these are just the kind of shoes in general to be on the lookout for. So if you liked this kind of video, let me know, and I can maybe make more videos like this. I've thought about making some other videos that talk about brands for other things, or just in general, the different type of items that are my favorite items to source. So let me know if that's videos that you guys would like to see. Alright guys, I'm gonna get off here. So until next time, keep on hunting for that hidden treasure.